Hello Fright Fiends, thank you for joining me for another episode of Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. Today's video is going to be a Blu-ray review. This is a Blu-ray that I purchased recently. I did a video on it showcasing it along with Wolf Cop, The Hobbit, and a couple other collectibles that I've gotten. The movie in question is called Muck and is an independent film that was put out by Anchor Bay in terms of distributing it. My interest in this film had to do with the fact that Kane Hodder, who played, of course, Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, 7, 8, 9, and Jason X, as well as he played Victor Crowley in the Hatchet series. Just a huge fan of the guy, and I was anxious to see him in a new horror film. So that is what caused me to pick this one up. I had heard nothing but horrible reviews of this film across the social media and community, but I always say I'm going to give it a watch for myself. So I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the movie Muck, and I hope everyone looks forward to my review. Please stay tuned. After narrowly escaping an ancient burial ground, a group of friends find themselves trapped between two evils, forcing them to fight, die, or go back the way they came. Movie stars Jaclyn Swedberg as Tara, Kane Hodder as Grossum Crudel, Gia Kova as Victoria Cougar, Lauren Francesca as Mia, Stephanie Danielson as Kylie, Lachlan Buchanan as Troit, Leela Knight as Kitty, Bryce Draper as Noah, and Pooja Mohindra as Shandy. The movie was written and directed by Steve Wolsh. A little trivia on the film is this is supposed to be one of 3 films. And this is actually, even though it's the first film released, is technically the middle chapter of the series. The next film will, of course, be a sequel to where this one left off, and then the final one will be a prequel that takes place before this one. So my thoughts of Muck. Is it really the pile of shit that I've been hearing about? I will say that I'm not crazy about it. But again, I think it's not just a movie where you can say, oh, it sucks. Because the thing about it is, I think there's some good ideas in this film. The problem for me is that the narrative was not really focused. And what I mean by that is that you have this setup at the beginning where these friends have survived this event. You don't know what it is. You just know that they've been hurt and they're trying to survive and get shelter to protect themselves from whatever is stalking them or whatever is out there. They happen upon a house. They go into it. The character of Noah, he says he'll go off and get help. He leaves the survivors at the house and goes off to get help. My problem with where the movie went next is that everything interesting that the movie should have been with in terms of the violence, the horror, the gore, I felt like it was restrained. And there was some parts of it that I was like, why is this the focus that the storyteller is choosing to go with it? So when Noah goes to find help, he goes to this bar, and it's St. Patrick's Day, and all these women are there, and they're flirting with him, and it's like his focus was to go and get help for his friends. One of his friends is very severely injured, and then there's a couple of them that are missing. And they never really say if they're dead or not. They just say they're missing. So he should have been a lot more frantic, and instead he sort of slows down and starts chatting it up with this woman that's coming on to him. And I'm like, okay, you left your girlfriend and your friends all at this abandoned house. You have no idea what's going on, and you're trying to get somebody out there to help you. And instead of running into the bar and asking the bartender for the phone, he instead tries to get the cell phone from this woman that's coming on to him. And that just kind of took me out of it for a minute, because I'm like, what does this have to do with the overall story? The other issue I've heard a lot of people talk about is the gratuitous nudity in the film. I don't understand why that's a problem. I don't have a problem with it. I think the women in this film are beautiful. Some of them aren't great actresses, but at the same time, I don't know why that's a factor for people dissing the film. That didn't really bother me. Yes, it's utilized quite a bit. Several of the women that are in this have been in Playboy, especially one of the main actors, Jaclyn Swedberg, who was actually Playmate of the Year in 2012, and it actually says it on the back of the box here, so that's how I knew about it. But, it's like, There's some women that are nude in the film. The director does choose to focus on their assets in quite a few of the shots, but again, if it bothers you, it's going to bother you. It didn't bother me. Call me what you want, but I think these women are beautiful, and it didn't take me really out of the story. There was some parts of it where people just keep looking at themselves in mirrors. I thought that was strange. It was like they're checking themselves out in the mirrors. That part did take me out of it because it was just kind of weird. And I'm not talking about just the women like primping themselves for a date or something like that. It's like they all just keep staring at themselves in the mirror, and I just didn't understand what the focus of that was supposed to be or why that was something. That regards to the performances in the film, I thought Lachlan Buchanan as Troy was actually he had the best lines. Some of them felt forced, others seemed very natural. But every time he was in a scene, it was more interesting than when he wasn't. With regards to the actresses in the film, the strongest for me was Stephanie Danielson, who played Kylie. I actually thought she had, I don't know, I just thought she had more of a range than some of the other actresses. I also thought Pooja Mohindra as Shandi was actually did a good job as well. There was times that her lines got a little, sometimes it was just like, there was just scenes that just came out of nowhere. Like they'd be running for their lives and all of a sudden they start chatting about personality quirks, and I just said, this doesn't belong here. It's just kind of weird. You're running for your lives. Why are you talking about this right now? One actor in the film that I just wasn't crazy about, because he's really supposed to be the lead, is Bryce Draper as Noah. I actually did not like him at all, and I just think, and maybe it was his first movie, it's fine. Nothing against the guy. I just didn't think his performance was very strong, and this is the guy you're supposed to be, rooting for, and just sort of the one that you're with, and like I said, the movie was just all over the place. And when Kane Hodder finally does show up in the film, he's in the film for about 5 or 6 minutes, which was pretty disappointing. If you're billing this film to feature, a huge star in horror like Kane Hodder, somebody that's been, in the business for 3 decades, you think you would have him in a much more featured role. And I just thought that he was kind of underutilized because he's a big guy, he's a menacing presence. And he was one of the creepers or the monsters that are in it. And I just thought that he should have been utilized more than the other actors that were used as creepers, or he should have been like a leader or something like that. He just was kind of another guy, and it's just like he looks different from all the other actors that are playing these characters. And I'm like, why wouldn't they make him, in terms of expanding upon his role, if you're going to have somebody that's imposing like that, why wouldn't you make him a bigger part of the movie? So, like I said, and I know that, this was independently done. I know that, they didn't have a ton of money to do this, but, at the same time, I've seen other independent horror films where they had the same thing and the stories are much better. It's a shame because I think this has tremendous, there's some potential with this film. And the fact that there's going to be 2 more, I just don't know where else they can go with it. It kind of alludes to something at the end of this one, but the title Muck doesn't really feature too much into the film. So that's why I'm assuming that you're going to get more of an explanation as the film series progresses, as they do the next one and then the prequel. You'll understand it a little bit more. But yeah, like I said, I just felt like the narrative was really unfocused. Some of the acting was pretty horrid. Some of the actors did carry it. I thought Kane Hodder looked really cool in it, but wasn't utilized very well. And the nudity didn't bother me too much, except for when, like, there's one scene where Noah is, like, running back to his friends to save them, and then he stops to stare at a woman that's undressing. That, and it's like, the nudity didn't bother me, it just, the scene didn't make any sense. So I'm just like, I don't understand this. So to give this movie a rating on my scale, I would say I'd have to give this 1.5 skulls. So yeah, I don't regret buying it. It's not a movie I'm gonna take back or exchange or anything. I do enjoy aspects of it. Just I have to, it's like, and it was hard to get it to that 1.5. It's not a movie I can easily recommend. If people want to check it out, they can. I just think it needed more editing. It needed a sharper story. It just wasn't there for me. It's pretty disappointing, but at the same time, I have some bad films in my collection, but it's like, that's the only way you're going to find out if some of these films are good or not, is just giving them a chance. So I don't regret buying it. I hope if they do another one, I'll check it out. Hopefully it'll be better than this one, but hopefully they'll utilize Kane Hodder more. but who knows what they're going to do. So anyway, that is my review of Muck, and I'm curious if anybody else has seen the film. I'd like to hear what their thoughts are. Please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And again, thanks so much for watching this, and I hope everyone has a great day. Take it easy. Peace.